And if everything goes right, within the next 5 years, the Hornets could be NBA champions. Hey guys, what's up? And today I'm going to be talking about how the Charlotte Hornets have earned unnoticed success this season. And from coach James Borrego to rookie Lamelo Ball or even veteran Cody have outperformed expectations. And currently are 8th in the Eastern Conference standings, but were 4th just a week ago. The Hornets were expected to be in the basement of the standings this 2020-2021 NBA season, but they have surprised the NBA community and are a team that nobody wants to face in the playoffs. But before I get into the video, thank you to everyone that helped me make this, but now let's get into it. The Struggle Hornets came into the season 18 months removed from arguably the franchise's greatest player ever, Kemba Walker, to decline a 5-year, $160 million contract. And the team had very low expectations after just finishing 23-42 in a COVID-shortened season. But there was a bright spot. In the 2020 NBA Draft Lottery, the Hornets jumped up to the 3rd pick and selected high school phenom Lamelo Ball. Lamelo Ball had just recently played one season in the NBL, an Australian Basketball League, and had a relatively disappointing season, as his team, the Allura Hawks, went 5-23, which was last in the league. And Lamelo only shot 38% from the field and 25% from behind the arc. Despite this disappointing campaign and being selected 3rd, it was virtually unanimously agreed upon that Ball had the most potential in this draft class. But there were doubts about LaMelo's shooting and how his game would translate over the NBA. There's also another big move the Hornets made in their extended 9-month offseason, and that was trading for veteran forward Gordon Hayward. Hayward had just came off of his best season since his devastating leg and ankle injury in 2017, but still had not been the same since. But coming into the 2020-2021 NBA season, the Hornets were expected to be one of the worst teams in the association, and BPI even had them going 21-51 in the 72-game shortened schedule. In the Hornets' first game of the season, the expectations made sense as they lost by 7 to the Cleveland Cavaliers, despite Rozier dropping a career-high 42 points and 10 made threes. Lamelo Ball was unable to prove the doubters wrong, as he scored 0 points in his NBA debut, and the hate began picking up. But Lamelo silenced his doubters next game by scoring 13 points and grabbing 6 boards in a close 2-point loss to Oklahoma City Thunder. It wasn't all bad, as 7 Charlotte Hornets players scored double digits in that game, including youngsters like Devontae Graham, Terry Rozier, PJ Washington, Miles Bridges, and the aforementioned Lamelo Ball. The Hornets then picked up 2 impressive wins against the Nets and Mavericks to end 2020. And in that last game, Lamelo led the way with 22-8-5 on 7 for 10 shooting, which was by far his best game yet. Over January, the Hornets went 7-9, partly because of a hand injury that kept Cody out for the majority of the month. But the team did still have some memorable performances, like Lamelo Ball becoming the youngest player in the NBA to have a triple-double, Gordon Hayward dropping 44, and Lamelo Ball scoring a career-high 27 points to close out the month in a win against the Milwaukee Bucks. That game also started the first mini-stretch of Malik Monk dominance from January 30th to February 8th, where Monk averaged 16.8 points on 49% three-point shooting, after playing a total of 63 minutes and 47 seconds in the first 19 games. The Hornets then went 7-6 in February, including a couple of close wins, like an overtime win against the Heat, a 2-point comeback win against the Warriors that ended with a Terry Rozier buzzer beater, a 3-point win against the Suns, and a 1-point win versus the Kings. Led by PJ Washington, who scored 42, and Malik Monk, who scored 21, and hit a game winner with 1.2 seconds left to close out the month of February. To begin March, the Hornets started out 4-3, and at 20-20, were 7th in the Eastern Conference, which almost nobody expected. But in a mid to late regular season game between the Hornets and Clippers, something happened that most fans thought would derail the Hornets season. Yes, you probably already guessed it, it is the Lamelo Ball injury. With 4 minutes and 44 seconds left in the second quarter, Lamelo leads a fast break and gets fouled attempting a layup. He grabs at his wrist, then gets up and shoots 2 free throws. 33 game seconds later, and Ball gets subbed out for fellow young guard Devontae Graham. Lamelo Ball came back into the game at the start of the second half and even scored 6 points and grabbed a few boards, but then was taken out with, what a coincidence, 4 minutes and 44 seconds left in the third quarter for, again, Devontae Graham. For the last time Lamelo would try and play, but after just 1 minute and 15 seconds of game time, he would exit the game. But this time, he wouldn't return. After losing the game and potentially Lamelo for the rest of the season, the Hornets seemed all but certain to miss even the play-in. But the rest of the team has stepped up in Lamelo's absence and earned 7-6 without the star rook. Young center Jalen McDaniels has taken a big step up without Lamelo and has averaged 14.8 points, 5.2 boards, while shooting 53% from the field and 48% from 3 over the last few games. And Bismack Biyombo, who has started 30 games this season, has only played 56 minutes and 16 seconds, which has helped Jalen McDaniels. But now that we have talked about how the Hornets season has went so far, we need to talk about how the Hornets are doing this, despite incredibly low expectations, and the first reason is the high chemistry on the roster. Now this is something that you cannot see in the stat sheet. This team plays very hard on defense, and on offense this team just gels. Lamelo's a big part of that, and that can be seen in the first game of this year. In an eventual loss to the Cleveland Cavaliers in the first game of the season, the Hornets looked very rusty and did not look like they were putting a ton of effort on defense in the first few minutes of the game. From the moment the third overall pick stepped on the court, the team played with more intensity despite Lamelo dropping a goose egg in the points column. Even now with Lamelo out, this team still plays with intensity and grit. And Lamelo still helps with that off the bench. After Miles Bridges' potential dunk of the year over Clint Capella, he said this about Lamelo Ball. "It's great. It's always great having Lamelo around just because of the type of person he is. He's always positive energy, and I feel like we can feel that on the court too, as well as just having guys on the bench that's supportive." And what Bismack Biyombo said recently. "I think it's always great to have, whether it's Lamelo back, whether it's Gordon Hayward, guys that are hurt, just being around the team, supporting other guys because we treat ourselves as family. So whenever the next guy goes down, you have to make sure you're there for the guy that's playing and support them. I think we've done a tremendous job at that, and that's the culture we're trying to build here. We're going to continue to stay on that path." It's clear that the players have a connection and that this is a fun team. From the best play-by-play announcer Eric Collins to a human highlight film Lamelo Ball, or even one of the best dunkers in the NBA, Miles Bridges. Chemistry may not make you a championship team, but at least makes you a respectable team, which is what the Hornets are. Chemistry isn't the only thing propelling this team to success, and another thing that shows it is personal stats. Terry Rozier is averaging a career-high 20.3 points, on his best efficiency ever, shooting 46% from the field and 40% from beyond the arc. Gordon Hayward is also having his best season since his 2016-2017 season in Utah, despite him being injured right now. Lamelo Ball is averaging the third most points per game on this team, despite him being more of a facilitator. And he isn't great at defense, but he puts a lot of effort in on that end. Devontae Graham is averaging 14 points per game, but has decreased in every single major statistical category, as well as being incredibly inefficient, but has not deserved all that he's deserving, though he is having a down year. Malik Monk is averaging 13 a game, and has become one of, if not the best bench scorers in the league over the past couple of months, as well as being an incredibly clutch player. In his second year, PJ Washington is averaging less points, but more rebounds and assists, on worse efficiency, but has been very versatile this season, sometimes playing the small ball 5, sometimes playing the 4. On the other hand, Miles Bridges has been very efficient, averaging career highs in points, rebounds, assists, and blocks, while being one of the most exciting and electrifying players in the league. Both centers, Biyombo and Zeller, have not done much this season, and Biyombo has recently been missing some games from coach's decision. And Zeller has been having a normal year stat-wise, but has been filling his role perfectly. Second-year center, Joe McDaniels, has showed a lot of potential, especially in the past 5 games where he started all of them. Both Zeller and Biyombo will be free agents after the season, and though McDaniels has loads of potential, the Hornets will most likely be looking for a center this offseason, as the 5 spot is their weakness. After all that, there are still rotation players to talk about, like twins Cody and Kayla Martin, who have similarities, like that you don't want either of them to be running the half-court offense, though sometimes they tend to. But also differences, like Kayla Martin's three-point shooting, which we only know because of his 2019-2020 season, and Cody Martin's knack for getting 50-50 balls. There are also young players who could be a part of the team's future, like Nick Richards and Vernon Carey, who have played a combined 24 games in the NBA this season. Head coach James Borrego has also had his best coaching season so far. And though he was not a good coach before, he has turned into an average to below average respectable coach, which the Hornets have not been able to say a whole lot throughout the franchise history. Now, what is the Charlotte Hornets' ceiling and potential this year and in the near future? This season, the Hornets are currently the 8th seed, but considering all the injuries the Hornets have had to go through, like Lamelo Ball's wrist injury, Gordon Hayward and Malik Monk's foot injuries, and PJ Washington's ankle injury, all of which are expected to return this season, the outlook still doesn't look bright for this Hornets team. I think the ceiling for the Hornets team this season is the second round, though they'd have to get inside the top 5 in the standings because there's no way they're beating any of the top 3 teams in the Eastern Conference. I do think next year if Lamelo stays healthy, he'll be able to fight for an All-NBA team appearance, and maybe in the next few years, even an MVP award, as we have already seen that type of jump from tall young guard and Luka Doncic. Though Doncic's rookie season was better than LaMelo's. This is of course one of the best scenarios that can happen, as I think the Hornets' ceiling for the next 5 years is probably an elite Eastern Conference team and maybe an NBA Finals appearance. The Hornets will probably have to add another star, as I don't think the core of Lamelo, Devontae, PJ Washington, and Miles Bridges can win a championship. If they land a center and a two-way player, as well as developing the young core as they should, then the Hornets could compete for an NBA title. But yeah guys, that's the video, and if you have any suggestions, then please leave them in the comments, as I want to make my content better for you viewers. But yeah guys, thanks for watching, be healthy, stay safe, and peace.